There's a question a lot of mothers ask quietly, usually late at night, usually when no one is around to hear it. Why don't I feel like myself anymore? You love your baby. That was never the question. But somewhere in the blur of the last weeks or months, the person you used to be got harder to find. You walk into rooms and forget why. You cry at things that never used to touch you. You feel everything more, and somehow also strangely far away. Here's what almost no one tells you. What you're feeling is not a flaw in you, and it's not a sign that something has gone wrong. It has a name. Researchers have been studying it for decades, and most mothers have never once heard the word for it. When you do, a lot of what you've been carrying quietly starts to make sense. It's called matrescence. The word was coined by a medical anthropologist named Dana Raphael, and it describes something that sounds obvious the moment you hear it, and yet somehow no one prepares you for. Becoming a mother is a developmental stage, a whole reorganization of a person, the same way adolescence is. Think about what we know about adolescence. We expect it to be turbulent. We expect the body to change, the emotions to swing, the sense of self to wobble while it reshapes itself into someone new. We give teenagers years and endless patience for that. Matrescence is that same magnitude of change, sometimes bigger, and we hand it to a woman in a matter of weeks and expect her to feel normal by the 6-week checkup. You are not falling apart. You are becoming, and becoming, by its nature, doesn't feel steady while it's happening. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside you, because the science here is genuinely astonishing and genuinely reassuring. The first thing to know is that your brain is physically remodeling. In a landmark study published in Nature Neuroscience, researchers scanned women's brains before pregnancy and after birth, and found measurable, lasting changes in the regions tied to empathy, to reading emotion, to sensing what someone else needs. The changes were so consistent, the researchers could tell, just from a brain scan, whether a woman had been pregnant. Read that again, because it reframes everything. That fog, that forgetfulness, that feeling of being scattered, a great deal of it is your brain reallocating resources. It is pruning and specializing, tuning itself with almost frightening precision to detect one small human's cries, expressions, and needs. You didn't lose your mind. Your mind changed its job description. And like any major renovation, it's a little chaotic while the work is being done. The second thing is your nervous system. Since your baby arrived, you may have noticed you're wired in a way you can't switch off. You hear every rustle. You wake a half second before the cry. You feel a jolt of alarm at a sound that wouldn't have registered a year ago. That's not anxiety failing you. That's your stress response system doing exactly what millions of years shaped it to do, keeping a vulnerable newborn alive by keeping you exquisitely alert. The hormones that flood a postpartum body and the sheer, relentless sleep loss on top of them keep that system running hot. It is protective. It is also, honestly, exhausting to live inside. Both of those things are true at once. And the third thing is the grief. The part almost no one says out loud. You can adore your baby with your whole body and still quietly grieve the woman you were. Her freedom, her quiet mornings, her sense of knowing who she was. That grief doesn't mean you're ungrateful, and it doesn't mean you made a mistake. Every real becoming has a loss folded inside it. You're allowed to hold both. If any of this is landing for you, take a breath, and if it helps, subscribe. I make a video every week about what's actually happening inside a mother's mind and body, in plain language, without the guilt. This is the stuff most of us are left to figure out alone, and you shouldn't have to. So what do you do with all of this? Not fix it. You don't need fixing. But there's something that helps more than almost anything, and it's simply naming which part is loudest for you right now, because matrescence doesn't feel the same for everyone. For one mother, it's the mental load, the invisible list that never switches off. For another, it's that wired, can't-relax hypervigilance. For another, it's numbness, or the feeling of being touched out by noon, or the quiet grief of an old self. They're different experiences, and they ask for different kinds of care. The first step is knowing which one you're actually in. That's the one small thing I'll point you to. There's a free, private 2-minute check-in. I'll leave it in the description and pinned right at the top of the comments. It reflects back which part of this is loudest for you right now and what tends to help. No sign-up wall to see your result, nothing salesy, just a way to put language to what you've been carrying, so you're not guessing in the dark at 3 a.m. Because here's the truth I want you to leave with. The fact that you're here, that you went looking for why you feel this way, instead of just deciding something's wrong with you, that tells me something about the kind of mother you already are. Attentive, trying, awake to your own life. You didn't lose yourself. You're being remade, in real time, into someone who can hold more than she used to. That's not a breakdown, that's a becoming. And it's allowed to take a while. If this gave you a new way of seeing these last months, tell me in the comments. What's the part no one warned you about? I read every single one.